Our customers can compete with anyone when it comes to hyperscale and efficient hardware.
How do you lead that?
Number one reason a company fails is they don't get market transitions.
Absolutely. I think the industry is going through a tremendous transformation.
Gee, finally get to meet you. I have heard, so much about you.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Steve.
First of all, you've been at Cisco for a couple of years. You've created a big impact in a short time. What is your specific responsibility here?
Well, here at Cisco, I joined to really help move Cisco into the cloud and NFV space.
Yeah.
So prior to me joining, Cisco had a lot of that work kind of spread throughout the company. And when I joined, we formed the Cloud and Virtualization Group,
right,
which brought all of those assets together. Yeah. And then, of course, building Cisco's public cloud as we put a lot of that into a SaaS business offering.
Yeah. When you started that business, now it looks very prescient that you called it a cloud business, because increasingly when I talk to your customers, they don't actually talk about NFV. Sometimes they don't even talk about virtualization. What they do talk about is cloud, cloud, cloud. Right. Do you feel like NFV has been something of a detour in terms of people's attention in our industry? For me, it feels like it's almost like a stepping stone on a path to cloud. Is that how you see it?
I do. When you think about cloud, one of the first things that comes to mind is the agility, particularly for the developer. So building services as businesses that serve our customers very, very rapidly. That was really the cloud story in storage and compute. Now it's going into the network space and has for many, many years. And as a result, you see the NFV, the network part of cloud, and being able to build those services and business opportunities on top of the cloud, leveraging the network.
What are the specific business opportunities, both opened up by cloud for your service provider customers and as an opportunity for Cisco itself? So really a two-part question, I guess.
Well, of course, we've seen the service provider go into the cloud offer as just as a basic cloud. And the service provider does offer a lot of unique opportunities there and differentiates themselves because of their geographic locations, being able to deal with data sovereignty, government relationships and whatnot. But also, as you bring in network function virtualization, they build a capability around agility, offering new services, and we see a lot of the business opportunity emerging through the data analytics of this.
Oh, really?
Because now you're actually running these things at speed, seeing exactly what's going on with your customers, seeing your customers' pain points, and being able to address them. And so whether it's a single pane of glass, being able to manage their network as they make these transitions, the WAN, et cetera, or whether it's being able to see where they're going and add security solutions or accelerators. All of that analytics is coming in to just be able to offer them a better experience for their customers.
Right. Common thread that has run through a lot of conversations I've had recently has been that we won't really know what the killer application for cloud is until we've built the cloud. I mean, to me, the killer application feels like potentially it's equality, because when we build a cloud and it's underwritten or supported by technologies like GPON and GFast and 5G, and it becomes a ubiquitous cloud, that's when everything really changes on the planet, isn't it? Because we create a sort of flat economic meritocracy. Do you feel utilitarian about the vision, or are you very pragmatic about just looking at it as a business opportunity?
I think we do break it into two pieces. There's a clear business opportunity. It's one of the fastest growing segments that we're in. We see the transition, we see the opportunities of moving people into the cloud for all the reasons that we discussed. And by the way, those business opportunities are the seeds of the future around digitization of the enterprise and being able to have end-to-end visibility of your business. That leads to a lot of efficiency gains. The wireless and general flattening of the network, which gives us all the mobility and end-to-end kind of enterprise without borders, et cetera. So these key business drivers are leading us into the cloud of the future, but are very real today.
A lot of the technology which you're developing here at Cisco is data center resident. Does the data center, is it just a data center or is it a telco data center? And if it's a telco data center, what's the difference between that and a large public cloud provider's data center, for example?
Well, we serve many customers. We have obviously on the enterprise side and the web side and the service provider side. I think the biggest difference in all of those between the service provider, data center, and others is that it's the front end of their business from a transportation communication perspective. That puts different requirements on the cloud. Instead of focusing on the compute and storage side, the network is front and center, the reliability is front and center, and also it has to be deep in the access network because of real-time performance, et cetera. So it's not just a single data center or an east-west kind of zone that you find in a compute cloud in an enterprise. These could be very highly distributed, even all the way into liquid kind of RANs and cloud RANs and whatnot, where the COs have their own little cloud instances in them.
And the main reason is for performance or
for
latencies?
Performance, delay, latency is a big one.
And those are related to physics, basically. Those
exactly.
issues are never going to change.
Exactly,
I guess.
exactly. And so the service provider cloud does tend to push it much, much deeper into the edge. And of course has all of the reliability issues because these applications hold state. So you just can't shut them down and start them up again when you have a route table or whether you have a gateway kind of function with all the sessions terminated at that layer.
When I was talking to John Chambers at Mobile World Congress this year, he obviously went on the record with a very famous statement now. Actually, it was his last interview about the service provider market that he did, so it was very nice of him to do it with us. And he said, he thought that 50% of his service provider customers wouldn't be around in one form or another in the next 10 years. First of all, do you agree with that? Do you agree with that assessment? And overall, over the next 10 or 15 years perhaps, do you think the tier ones can survive this Armageddon type battle which they're in with the OTTs or web scale companies?
Well, I think Steve Jobs and other technologists, Bill Gates and whatnot, always kind of say it best when we tend to overestimate the near term and underestimate the long term. There's a tremendous business transition going in the service provider industry right now. We have consolidation, we have new business models, we have service providers going over the top on themselves to try to capture that market. So that's a very, very dynamic market, and that's going to continue. So it's certainly true, in my opinion, that 50% of that market will look very, very different than what it does today. And I think the kind of traditional role of a service provider is also changing as you see service providers come up in new verticals that really have communication as a foundation, but come up in many different ways, whether it's home security, whether it's healthcare, whether it's actual media companies and whatnot. So all of this is happening in our industry, and quite frankly, a lot of it is leveraging cloud-like technologies. You don't have to build an end-to-end, fully scalable service, pre-deploy it, hope that it succeeds, take all that CapEx investment up front. You can scale these businesses out in a way that makes a lot more economic sense now than you could in the past. So we see this happening in the market today, and we expect this to accelerate over time.